Hello, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk and from unboxings.com, and here I have another white box product. And a white box typically means an exciting new product from somebody like HTC, and this time is absolutely no different. For here we have the HTC Rhyme, slightly larger box than is typical from HTC, but we'll talk about that in just a second. The phone on top, which is actually well wedged in, I'll have to take that out, there we go, and it's powering up already. I must have caught the power button as it come out, but we'll come back to that in just a second. Also inside we have, and partly for an explanation of the size of the box, but we have a, there we go, started up, they have a leather pouch to actually put the phone in. It's quite attractive, sort of slightly off-white with the HTC logo. Set of accessories, first of all, not that I'll bother to unwrap this one, this is a standard micro USB to USB sync charge cable. We then have a slightly different design HTC charger, so it's a USB style wall charger, 3-pin UK plug, and the design has changed slightly here, as you can see. They used to be sort of barrel shaped, but now it's a little bit neater. And then also I have a couple of things here, so there's one, and the other bit here, I'll just unwrap two. So here we go, we have the headphones, and they do match the colour of the handset itself. This is sort of a, I guess you call it almost like a plum colour. It's sort of purplish red, quite attractive actually, and it doesn't really strike me as being overly girly, which is, well, I guess that's kind of a good thing. So the headphones, or headset here, is an inline with volume control, well, not volume control actually, that's media controls. So you've got up and down for your tracks, and a push button in the centre. That's your controls for media, and then headphones themselves, and styling there, well, I guess that's very much a part of the Beats audio kind of stuff. The flat cable, which is to prevent the tangling of the cable, is quite effective, strangely enough, having a flat cable. So this other part here is like a lanyard style thing, and it has a little cube on the other end. Now we'll talk about that in a bit more detail when we do a bit of a demo. In this side we have a dock, which is pretty neat, pretty cool. Very unusual for HTC supplied docks. I mean, they did many years ago. I think that's everything we have in there. Yeah, that is. Many years ago HTC supplied docks with almost all of their handsets. It was a pretty standard thing, and certainly with the Canary and those sorts of things, we actually had a dock for your desk. But this one simply drops in like so, and it gives you the ability to actually sync and charge. Means that it can be used as a clock radio, that kind of thing, alarm clock, so that's pretty cool. Again, we'll talk about that in a bit more detail when we actually come to do the review, but in the base you actually have a micro USB sort of sync charge connector there, and I'm not sure, but it feels quite weighty, so, and the design there sort of does imply that perhaps there are speakers in there, but again, we'll discuss that in full detail in a later video and when we do our review. So onto the handset itself. As I said, I've already mentioned the colouring, sort of this sort of plummy purple colour, and it's pretty cool, somewhere between aubergine and plum maybe. I'm not sure what the official name for it is, but I think it's quite cool. It means it's a bit of a departure from the bland black or silver. On the front we have a forward-facing camera, and then the grill at the top here is your actual micro speaker. The display is a 3.7 inch display. It's WVGA, so 480 by 800 pixels, which is a fairly typical size. It's multi-touch capacitive, as you pretty much come to expect. Followed by, underneath, we have 4 capacitive buttons: home, menu, back, and search. Well, that's pretty standard. I think almost every Android handset has them, and certainly I think all of the HTC ones do. So in terms of like the actual sort of LCD panel and everything else, it's pretty straightforward. On this side, left hand side, we don't really have a great deal. There's appears to be a cover here there we are, over the micro USB sync charge connector. Again, that's a fairly unusual thing for HTC to do. They don't typically put covers over connectors. They're normally exposed, so that's a bit of a departure. On the bottom we have a hole there, tiny hole, which is actually the microphone. And over on the right hand side we have an up and down volume control, and that is all. No camera button unfortunately, but there we go. On top we have the power button, another hole there which I think is the secondary microphone, and then next to that we have the 3.5mm headphone connector, so we can use the wired headset that's supplied or our own headphones, plug it in there, or indeed plug this little thing in too, so that's pretty cool. So that's what that's for. On the back we have a 5-megapixel autofocus camera. There's a little grill next to that is the loudspeaker, and on the other side we have an LED flash. Next to that, or just underneath that, there's 3 little connectors there, as you can see. That's actually how we pick up on the little connectors on the dock, contacts, for actually charging the handset up when it's in the dock. Back is sort of a 3-tone colour, so you have a slightly different colour at the top and the bottom, intermixed there with this metallic finish portion in the centre, which is quite nice. That's finished all the way around, different colour on top and bottom, tricolour back cover. Bottom pops off like so. Inside the back we have an antenna. Again, the antenna not putting it inside the back cover means that because this is an aluminium unibody design of the actual chassis of the handset, putting the antenna underneath the aluminium is a bad idea. Obviously the metal is going to block out the RF signals, so putting them inside the plastic of the back cover means that you just get that better signal quality and coverage. Underneath we have micro SD HC memory card socket supporting up to 32 gig, 8 gig supplied there, and on this side there is space for a SIM card that just pops in and slides underneath that space. Don't think there's a hole for a lanyard or a phone charm. Doesn't appear to be the case. No, don't think there is. No phone charm or lanyard connector there, or a part for actually connecting it around, posts or anything else. You'll notice that the battery is actually fitted and it's internal. It's not user replaceable, so I think some people are going to be fairly critical of that. You actually would have to dismantle the phone in order to replace the battery. Not something that I am really a big fan of personally, in that if the battery does die, then either you've got to dismantle the phone or take it away, or send it away for a repair or replacement. And well, we all know that batteries do deteriorate over a period of time, so it just does remove your ability to change the battery yourself easily, which is a bit of a pity. But I know a lot of handsets are going in that direction, and certainly it's something that Apple have been doing for a long time. But it seems that other manufacturers are going in that direction. Anyway, so we've already started up, so I will do a quick rundown of the specification. GSM is quad band, and 3G HSDPA is tri-band, so it's going to work pretty much everywhere. If you want to take it abroad, it's going to pick up a signal in almost all countries. And in terms of size, 117 millimeters from top to bottom, 61 millimeters wide, and just over 10 millimeters thick, 10.1 millimeters. Feels quite weighty. I've got no listed weight. The aluminium design and internal battery and everything else just feels a little bit heavy. Say around 130-ish grams. But yeah, not too bad at all. Styling is pretty cool. And you know, if you look at a handset like this, even if it didn't have the logo on it, you know it's an HTC handset. It just has that kind of look to it. So it's pretty cool. It's sort of consistent. SLCD display is 480 by 800 pixels, capacitive, multi-touch, as you pretty much come to expect. There's an accelerometer, G sensor. Also has built-in GPS and supporting AGPS, Wi-Fi, 802.11b, and N standards. Also Wi-Fi hotspot. 4 gig of internal ROM. I think only 1 gig is user available, and we do have the memory card in there as well. 8 gig memory card supplied, but will support up to 32 gig. 768 meg of RAM. There's a 1 gigahertz Scorpion processor with an Adreno GPU. So things tick along pretty quickly, or should tick along pretty quickly, but we'll have a look at that when we come to do the full review, and we'll do some benchmarks. There's a built-in FM radio with RDS support, and well, pretty much all the other bits and pieces you come to expect. Bluetooth 3.0 with A2DP and EDR support. The camera on the back, as I say, is a 5 megapixel, does support HD video recording, 720p video recording at 30 frames a second, and the operating system is Android 2.3.4 Gingerbread. Okay, so let's take a quick look. We have the unlock ring, which is now fairly typical on the HTC handsets in this latest version of Sense user interface. So we'll just go ahead and set up. Notice immediately that the colouring of some of the interface has been changed, presumably to match the styling of the handset, which is pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and connect to a wireless network. And as you can see, we've got the QWERTY keyboard. Nothing terribly unusual about the style of this QWERTY keyboard. Okay, so we just sign into the Wi-Fi network, and we are connected. And we'll accept using Google Location for GPS. We'll agree to all the other bits and pieces, and we'll kind of get through the setup as quickly as possible. Obviously, this is a one-off setup, as is going through all these account setups. We're going to skip this part for now, because we can actually resume, either go through the wizard again, or we can actually just set up those individually later on, which is probably what we're going to do. So we'll let that go ahead and start up. There we go. So we've got a slightly different user interface there than we have seen of late. We can bring up our full list of applications, as you can see there. We've got frequently used, downloaded, but all apps. In here we have fairly standard stuff. Endomondo is something new. Facebook Chat is also something that's newly installed. Used to be something you had to go ahead and download. Google Maps, Android Market, all those kinds of things are already in here. Google Talk, Tango's a new icon. Transfer usage monitor, that's pretty useful. In actual, you know, if you're on limited tariffs or whatever, you can actually check out usage and that kind of stuff. Twitter, Wi-Fi hotspot, and watch, weather, and YouTube. So not too much in there that's out of the ordinary, but we'll come back to that in just a moment. In terms of coming back to the home screen, so a bit of a styling change for HTC. Gone is the sort of flip style calendar and time with the weather, but they could probably be brought back. I haven't actually had a chance to play with this, but you've got your mail, which you can actually pop into. It's going to ask me to set up a mail account, which I'll do later. You've got your messages, so your text messaging, music and media will be in here. You've got your camera, so you can obviously launch the camera and take photos. Not very exciting, but that works just well. That's fine. And then go to your gallery. You can have a look at the photos that are on there. In terms of the camera quality, that's actually really quite good. As you can see there, no problems with that. We'll obviously take a lot more interesting photos when it comes to do the full review. We'll take a suite of photos of all different things, but camera quality, very impressive actually. So we'll come back out of there. And then you've got Android Market there too. We'll just skip out of that for a moment. In terms of sweeping around, we do have the other screens or panels that you would expect. That hasn't changed. So we've got your Google search here, favourites for people. Then you've got mapping service, a blank page. Then you've got actually, I think that's like a tips, Android tips or HTC tips, so getting started. You've got your watch videos, your friend stream, and then back to the home screen. Just got to pop into Android Market and sign in. While we sign in, there we go. It should take a second or two to actually do. And there we go. So we launch Android Market, accept terms and conditions. Got a notification here at the top as well, as you can see, with things that I've recently gone into. and any notifications shown below. Then we've got quick settings, so we can go in to turn on and off Wi-Fi, go into airplane mode, memory, and so on. It's interesting here that total memory is listed at 582, so I don't know if that's an indication of how much is available versus how much there is and that kind of stuff, but there you kind of get the idea. It's downloading some updates there automatically as I've signed into Android Market as well. So in Android Market, it's all pretty straightforward, business as usual. You got your applications, you got your games, all broken down into categories. Then you've got your HTC recommendations, also there. If I do a search, I should actually be able to go and download Quadrant. So we download Quadrant Standard Edition for free. And we'll install that. We'll run that benchmark in just a moment. At the top here, it's listing out some of the things that have been found. There's an update available. Gmail's been updated and a few other things. Quadrant's downloading, and obviously downloading pretty quickly over broadband here and Wi-Fi. So that's actually going to go and install. Successfully installed. If I click on it, we can actually run the benchmark straight away. So it shouldn't take too long to actually run the benchmark. We'll just have a look at that, and I'm sure you've seen this before, but you run CPU test, memory test, I/O test, so basically reads and writes to and from memory or various, well, basically memory, and does database write and read speeds. And then we'll get onto the 2D and 3D graphics. So this is 2D graphics running at around 18 frames per second there, and then we've got around 16-17 frames per second running there. Oh, it's popping up to it's around about 12. There we go. And then we have 60 frames per second in this 3D test here, and around 30 frames per second for animating that DNA string. And we want to see the benchmark results. There we go. It's not too bad actually. Just slightly behind the Nexus running 1 on this benchmark, running Android 2.2, and slightly above the Motorola Droid X. Typically, you find over a period of time, or running this more than once, you'll get different results. So when we actually come to do a review, we tend to run it probably about 10 times and take an average. And we'd probably see that fluctuate and go up and down a little bit. It also does depend on some of the other things that are running. So if it was downloading any other or installing anything else and all that kind of stuff, obviously it's going to have an impact on actually your speed there. You got your phone dialer here with people, groups, call history. Then back home and push the button in center, we've got your settings menu. So you can change what your phone charm does. That's what that is, for just pointing that out. And that plugs in on the back like so, and you can change what the charm does. So that will flash light up when you get a message, or when you get incoming calls and that kind of stuff. So that's what that's all about. So it's a phone charm. That's pretty cool. I mean, it's a little bit different, but means you could actually have your phone in your pocket, completely hidden away, and the charm just kind of elsewhere, maybe coming out your jacket. Or your trousers or whatever, it just makes it's pretty cool. It's a little bit different. Don't know of any other handsets that have a similar thing. Change the display settings and everything else in there. That's again fairly typical, nothing terribly unusual in that respect. Also in here you can change the personalization of the phone with widgets. You can change all the different widgets there, and add and remove widgets. So there's plenty to choose from. HTC are pretty good at including plenty. You can change different scenes. So there are different scenes available that you can switch around, and you can download additional scenes. Similarly with skins. So you can change different skins and different themes. So that's pretty cool. You can also change what the lock ring does. So just go back into the lock menu now. So obviously you can just unlock simply by pulling the lock ring up. But also if I wanted to go straight into the camera, I can do so from the lock screen. And we can change what widgets or what applications can be launched from the lock screen as well. Going back into the main menu of applications, just take a quick look at the internet. we're not going to Google, we're going to go to our site. Load, it seems to be loading fairly quickly again. Should mention that we are using a broadband connection and the phone's connected to that using Wi-Fi router, so it's not an indication of network speed with your mobile phone network, although that would typically be quite fast anyway. Slightly different browser, has been updated a little bit. Certainly the interface with the address bar at the top, that just slides out of the way. And the SLCD, Super LCD display is doing a really rather good job. The only thing here is that it is actually slightly cropping the text. That should actually flow across the whole page, but it isn't doing so. If we turn into landscape, that's what actually should be doing, the text there, but that's just a thing with the browser, and it's working there perfectly actually now. As you can see, it's gone full width. Even at that resolution and that width, the display is rendered very good. I can even read the text even though it's absolutely tiny, but I can actually see what it says, although that's not really practical. That way around it works rather well. Double tapping zooms in, double tapping zooms out, so pretty straightforward and a decent browser. I like the browser on Android anyway, it does a very good job. Finally, let's take a quick look at Gmail, as it will have updated, or should have updated, with my inbox. So there we go. You got that updates and signs in with Android Market or vice versa. So that's pretty cool. Just take a quick look at YouTube, and we will launch and search. Just see how quickly it plays and buffers. Missed that. Let's try again. There we go, the ID being my YouTube alias. So we've got a series of videos here. Let's just pick one of these. Standard implementation of YouTube client for Android. So we originally spool up in portrait, and in portrait you have information, related videos and comments below. Starts up reasonably quickly. If we swing around landscape at full screens, and if we pop back, just pause that, but you kind of get the idea. That's probably fairly intuitive, and it's pretty cool. So there we go. So that's a reasonably quick look of the HTC Rhyme. We're going to have a full review for you over the next couple of weeks. In the meantime, if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's twitter.com/TracyandMatt and facebook.com/TracyandMatt.co.uk. Feel free to ask us any questions about this, any other handsets that we're looking at. We'll have some more videos of this actually, and probably a quite extensive review of the HTC Rhyme coming up, as I say, within the next couple of weeks. But anyway, we'll be back soon with some more videos and reviews on TracyandMatt.co.uk. But for now, thanks for watching.